Welcome to Washington in Focus. I'm Brett Davis. Joining me today is the Center Square's investigative reporter, TJ Martinell. You wrote a story that was headlined, Washington Elections Bill, quote, generates more distrust in the system, end quote. That's a reference to Senate Bill 5459, which concerns requests for records containing election information. You say in your story the bill would exempt various aspects of the election system from public records requests and centralize all local records requests with the Secretary of State's office. You were in touch with folks who were both for and against the legislation. Let's talk about the pro side first. What's their justification for this bill?
Well, it depends on which section. The one section that deals with centralizing all the public records requests is because, according to one person testifying in support of the bill, county auditors have been overwhelmed with public records requests on the ballots, on the election information, particularly since 2020. And they just have never had to deal with that before. They haven't gotten anywhere near this volume of requests. And so they want to have it all sent to the Secretary of State's office as a way of dealing with it. And the other parts of it is the argument is they're trying to protect voter information. So it would make anything doing with ballots exempt from public disclosure. From right now, from what it seems that ballots are, the actual ballot, which doesn't contain any personal information, is subject to public disclosure. And so this would make the actual ballot and all the other information in the envelope exempt. Another interesting one is it would make the technology used or the infrastructure used to count the ballots exempt for 25 years. So let's say there was an election in 2025. The technology or infrastructure would not be available for public release until 2050.
That's a bit of a wait.
That is a long wait.
Now, the people who are against the bill, why are they upset about this?
Because they feel like this is creating more secrecy around how the election system operates. People who feel like there's either fraud or there's stuff that's going on that shouldn't be, or the ballots that are being included are not legitimate. And there's no way, they feel like this makes it even more difficult to verify that kind of stuff. And so that's when some of the legislators who were speaking out against it said, we're continuing to add more and more exemptions to public records requests. There's now more than 500 exemptions, and this is adding to that. And so detractors feel like this is making it harder for private citizens to hold the government accountable, and it is taking away transparency over how the system actually operates.
Now, I understand there was an amendment proposed that failed. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, the only amendment that was sponsored in either the House or Senate on the actual chamber floor would have allowed a vote that was cast to be subject to public disclosure if it can be provided in a manner that preserves the confidentiality of voters' choices on their ballots. And, one legislator said it would bring transparency but also protect confidentiality. So it was a failed amendment. It was not included. And so that's what some people will say, well, why is the actual ballot not subject to public disclosure? Why would we not want to do that? Because the ballot itself doesn't show any personal information. You don't know anything about the person who filled it out other than the fact that what they filled out. And I'm not even sure if that would be subject to disclosure.
Now, being our investigative reporter, will this make it more difficult for you to, access public records? I know you request public records on a regular basis. Do you have any idea what this will do in your line of work?
Yeah, it's definitely going to make it harder if I was to say investigate. If there was allegations of a system malfunctioning, one of the infrastructure malfunctioning with one of the systems, I wouldn't be able to get certain information, which would now be exempt if Governor Jay Inslee signs the bill into law. I also would not be able to get any ballots from a public records request. And also, I wouldn't be able to contact the county auditor. I would have to go through the Secretary of State's office in order to get any requests handled.
So basically more hoops to jump through?
Well, it centralizes and then I'd say conceals what information that was otherwise available to the public.
Now, I understand this bill's it's on Governor Jay Inslee's desk. I looked at his schedule today. He's got 3 sessions of bill signings, but I didn't see this one on there yet. So I don't know if he's still considering it or what the deal is, or if it's just going to sign it later.
Well, I can't imagine him not signing it because Inslee also proposed a bill, I believe, last year that would have made it a misdemeanor for a political candidate to say that an election outcome was illegitimate.
Oh, right. I remember that. I expect he'll sign it too. Just didn't see it on the agenda today.
Yeah. So I expect him to sign it, but it's a separate but related issue of people questioning the outcome of an election. this bill is going to it's going to withhold more records and public documents.
Well, thank you for being with us. Listeners can keep up with the story and more at thecentersquare.com. For TJ Martinell, this is Brett Davis. Please subscribe and thanks for listening.